Imagine opening your calendar on a Monday morning, right? And seeing a block that just says 3-day virtual industry conference.
Oh, I mean, immediate existential dread, just instantly.
Exactly. If you are like most people, your immediate reaction is probably just deep dread because you already know exactly how it's going to play out. You're going to sit in a desk chair, staring at a grid of tiny boxes while someone you've never met clicks through like 80 bullet-pointed slides for an hour.
Right. And you might have the window open, but you're actually checking your email.
Yeah.
Completely zoned out.
Which is exactly why we are welcoming you, yes, you listening right now to today's deep dive, because we are tackling a massive industry-wide crisis in the digital event landscape. In our post-remote work world, this whole traditional method of creating push content is basically collapsing.
Yeah, it really is. Organizers have this outdated assumption that just dumping a massive volume of information onto an audience automatically equals high value.
But cognitively speaking, that approach actually guarantees the audience will retain almost nothing, right? The drop-off rates are catastrophic, and actual retention is basically zero.
Completely zero, which is why our goal today is to decode how virtual event architects are actually solving this. We're pulling apart strategic blueprints, back-end platform data, technical manuals for platforms like Hey Summit and SmartWinner.
Right. We want to understand this massive pivot happening right now, particularly in the wellness, self-help, and entrepreneurship spaces. We're seeing a shift away from those exhausting multi-day webinars toward what they are calling transformational micro-summits.
Yeah, and to understand why this shift is even happening, you really have to look at the psychology of the attendee.
Yeah.
Organizers first had to just completely rethink the physical or, I guess, digital container of the event itself.
Okay, let's unpack this, because when you look at the wellness space specifically, organizers are hitting this massive psychological roadblock. The sources call it the self-care paradox.
Oh, yeah. That is such a fascinating concept.
It really is. It's this incredibly frustrating friction between cognitive awareness, like knowing what healthy behaviors you were supposed to do, and behavioral execution, which is actually doing them.
Right, because we all experience that paradox. Telling someone that they need to sleep 8 hours a night doesn't miraculously wire their brain to execute that behavior. The gap between knowing and doing is just vast.
Yeah, it's huge.
And if you just fire hose an audience with more data, you actually widen that gap by inducing decision fatigue. So that is the genesis of the micro-summit solution. Instead of hosting a massive 3 to 5 day virtual conference with like 30 different speakers all yelling different strategies.
It's just exhausting.
Completely. Instead of that, organizers are drastically downsizing the container. A micro-summit is tightly bound. It's usually a single-day event featuring a highly curated panel of just 3 to 5 experts, and it focuses on one single, highly specific outcome.
It's like a fire hose versus a glass of water. With a traditional summit, you get completely soaked, but you can't actually drink the water.
That is a perfect analogy.
But wait, let me push back on that for a second. If I'm an event organizer, my entire business model usually relies on list growth and reach, right? If I shrink my event down from 30 speakers to 3, aren't I losing out on audience size?
I mean, on the surface, it seems like a terrible business move. But the operational metrics we are looking at tell a completely different story. A traditional massive summit is just a logistical nightmare.
Right.
It takes 3 to 6 months to plan, secure the speakers, build the marketing. Because it requires so much heavy lifting, you can only realistically pull it off once a year. It's a massive gamble. But a micro-summit only takes about 4 to 6 weeks from conception to execution.
Wow, just 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, because they are so much easier to manage, organizers are replicating them every 6 to 8 weeks. So they are driving consistent, highly targeted list growth all year round.
So you're trading one risky swing for a steady stream of base hits. And the sources also detail some really creative variations here, like micro audio summits.
Oh, those are brilliant.
Yeah. They are completely mobile-friendly events designed for busy entrepreneurs. It treats the summit almost like a private podcast feed, so you can listen while commuting. And then there are these 3 to 5 day virtual challenges.
Right.
Those are wild because they focus entirely on daily practical milestones. The back-end data shows these challenges are driving 8 to 10% conversion rates for program sales because they literally force the attendee to take immediate physical action each day.
And that emphasis on action is the perfect transition to the next massive evolution. Because shrinking the container to a micro-summit is only step one. Once they downsized, Organizers realized they also had to fundamentally change the pedagogical frameworks inside the event.
Because if you just shrink the container but keep the exact same boring lecture format, you've just created a shorter, terrible event, right?
Exactly. You have to match human cognitive science. What's fascinating here is the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. It's a psychological principle showing how rapidly we lose memory when we don't actively review information.
Right, the numbers on this were kind of shocking to me.
Yeah, the data shows that humans forget approximately 50% of new information within a single hour of learning it. And within 24 hours, 70% is completely gone.
That is insane. So if you watch a brilliant keynote on Tuesday morning, by Wednesday, you've practically wiped 70% of it from your hard drive.
Unless there is regular strategic reinforcement, the brain just dumps it to save energy. To combat this, content has to be delivered in bite-sized, structured modules using 3 core pillars of cognitive design.
Let's break those down. First is the spacing effect, which is basically avoiding crammed sessions. Instead of dumping everything at once, you return to key concepts through like follow-up quizzes or community discussions.
Right. The second pillar is scaffolding. You never start a session with the most complex theory. You introduce a simple foundational concept first, make sure they get it, and then you layer the complex strategy on top of it.
But the third pillar is my absolute favorite detail from all these sources, active job aids. This blew my mind because it forces presenters to abandon passive presentation slides. You aren't allowed to just read bullet points.
It's a strict design constraint, and it's so smart.
It really is. Instead of slides, the speaker has to walk through a live, interactive resource on their screen, like decision flowcharts, printable checklists, or planning templates. It's like a cooking show where the chef actually cooks the meal with you, rather than just standing at a podium reading you a recipe.
Yeah, that concept of co-execution is vital. The blueprints map this directly to a framework called the 4 Disciplines of Execution, or 4DX. You have to keep the event focused on a wildly important objective, and you track progress using lead measures rather than lag measures.
Okay, remind me the difference again. What does that look like in a virtual summit?
Well, a lag measure is the final result, like doubling your revenue. By the time you measure it, the performance that drove it is already in the past. But a lead measure is the specific daily action that guarantees the result, like making 10 sales calls a day.
Ah, okay.
In these summits, organizers maintain a visible scoreboard of these lead measures. Did you fill out the flowchart today? When attendees see that scoreboard and have mutual accountability, the follow-through just skyrockets.
But here is the catch. Even with perfect cognitive design, an event will still feel completely sterile and transactional without a highly skilled human element driving the experience, right?
Absolutely. A transactional environment is the enemy of behavioral transformation.
I was reading the notes from the presenter playbook in our sources. It says a virtual master of ceremonies, the MC, must look directly into the camera lens, not down at their slides, not at the grid of faces. They have to stare into the lens to simulate personal eye contact.
It creates a subconscious bond of trust. They also have to vary their vocal tone, keep hand gestures in frame, and use visual bio slides instead of long verbal introductions to keep the momentum going.
Yeah, and to understand why moving away from a transactional feel is so critical, the sources actually brought up a Yale research study regarding online telehealth, specifically looking at platforms prescribing GLP-1 weight loss medications.
Right, this is a really interesting parallel to draw.
Yeah. The researchers found that the easy click of a button online access often lacked sufficient clinician oversight. It raised significant safety risks for the patients.
Exactly. We are just impartially reporting the data here, but the study showed that because it functioned basically like a digital vending machine login, click a button, get a prescription, the human element of assessment was getting lost.
Right. And the broader lesson the sources pull from this for wellness platforms is that digital spaces absolutely must replicate authentic, high-fidelity clinician-patient relationships. They can't just be transactional hubs.
If your event feels like an information vending machine, it will fail to create lasting change. Which brings up the obvious logistical problem. How do you actually achieve that intimacy at scale?
Yeah, if you have 500 people logged in, you can't have a duct connection with all of them at once.
No, you can't. The solution organizers use is breakout rooms. They alternate large keynotes with small breakout groups of just 5 to 7 people. And the facilitators are trained in something called the power of silence.
Oh man, this is so hard to do.
It really is. Facilitators are trained to use silence as a tool. They ask a complex question and then just sit back and allow the awkward silence to happen. It gives participants time to collect their thoughts rather than the host rushing to fill the dead air.
But how do you actually measure if this intimacy is working? Because online, you can't read the room like you can in person. You can't see people nodding or checking their phones.
You measure it through the engagement score formula. They call it EI. It calculates active interactions, so that's chat entries plus poll responses plus job aid downloads. And then it divides that total by the active attendee count. He gives the host a hard, quantifiable dial on their dashboard.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because the event is now highly engaging and transformational, attendees are naturally primed to take the next step.
Yes, the momentum is huge at this point.
Right, and organizers capture this through strategic marketing funnels. There is an automated 5-day welcome funnel that drives show-up rates. The immediate email just confirms access and says, add to calendar. Day 1 shares the host's mission and asks you to reply with your #1 goal.
Which breaks the passive barrier immediately.
Exactly. Day 2 shares strategies for success and a pre-event workbook download. Day 3 highlights speakers with a session quiz. And Day 4 shares a personal story of struggle to action, inviting you to join the community. By the time the event starts, you are completely invested.
And that deep investment translates directly into the VIP upgrade conversion rate. This is the number of VIP buyers divided by total free registrants. Standard events average like 3 to 5%. But offering implementation resources pushes conversions past 10%.
Because nobody wants to pay money just to watch a recorded fire hose of information later.
Exactly. The VIP pass includes things like digital action packs, breakthrough coaching, and a live accelerator workshop.
And these VIP workshops utilize a model called double diamond co-creation, right?
Yes. Discover, define, develop, deliver. It's a design thinking framework. They use digital whiteboards like Miro or Mural in tight 2 to 3 hour bursts.
With scheduled breaks, obviously.
Right, to prevent screen fatigue. And crucially, they use a dedicated silent note taker. The facilitator never takes notes. They just focus on guiding the group's emotional state.
Okay, so to execute all of this, the funnels, breakout rooms, live job aids, you need a bulletproof technical infrastructure behind the scenes.
It is non-negotiable.
The sources highlight platforms like Hey Summit as an all-in-one suite. Organizers can customize branding by uploading proprietary fonts and deliberately mapping accent colors to drive action on call-to-action buttons.
It subtly trains the brain on where to click. And the video integrations have to be flexible. They use native integrations with Zoom, BigMarker, GoToWebinar, Remo, where the platform actually creates the meeting and syncs registrations seamlessly.
Yeah, and they embed engagement tools like Slido directly into a responsive iframe. So you can use full screen for video scaling and append /questions or /polls to isolate specific features.
They even use evergreen funnels, which take pre-recorded sessions and set them on auto-repeat rules to simulate that live energy continuously.
But what about the nightmare scenario? What happens when your internet drops or your mic dies right in the middle of pitching that premium VIP pass?
That's where pre-event redundancies come in. The blueprints detail the dry run protocol, a mandatory full technical rehearsal 48 hours out.
And the physical redundancies are intense. You have an external USB mic, but also a backup headset plugged in, an eye-level HD webcam with direct behind-camera lighting.
Plus a dedicated mobile hotspot backup sitting right there on your desk.
And my favorite part? Printed, physical copies of the MC Event Bible, just in case your screens go totally black.
You have to be prepared for everything.
So what does this all mean? We've seen that modern high-engagement events aren't about broadcasting information, they are about architecting action. By combining cognitive science, authentic human connection, and flawless tech, you turn passive observers into vocal advocates.
And this applies directly to your own life. Whether you are hosting a global summit, running a weekly team meeting, or just trying to learn a new skill. The principles of microlearning, active job aids, and high-fidelity human connection apply everywhere.
It really does make you evaluate how you consume information. Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder. If spaced repetition and co-creation are the proven ways humans actually internalize new behaviors, how much of our daily media diet, the podcasts, the news, the endless scrolling is actively working against our own brain's design?
It's a great question. Are we just standing in front of a fire hose every day?
Exactly. Thanks for taking the deep dive with us. We'll catch you next time.